Mazda is a car maker that likes to do things slightly differently. While most car makers were moving away from diesels and making simple four-cylinder petrol engines, Mazda built a plug-in hybrid six-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine to power its big CX-60 SUV. It's also been a long-time fan of the smooth spinning but quirky rotary engine. In fact, it's pretty much the only manufacturer that's persisted with that technology. Well, this Mazda 3 isn't a big SUV, nor does it have a rotary engine. It's just a regular family hatchback. But it still manages to plough its own eccentric furrow because its engine doesn't have a turbocharger, which is a real rarity these days with most family hatchbacks, unless they're fully electric. This is because Mazda's philosophy is to achieve eco-friendly low emissions and fuel efficiency through what it calls right-sized engines. As a result, this car has a 2-litre non-turbocharged petrol engine with mild hybrid tech, instead of a small engine with a turbo, which is what most other cars do. This is the Skyactiv X, which has 186 horsepower, thanks to some clever ignition technology, which we won't bore you with now. There's also a Skyactiv G with 122 horsepower, which doesn't have that technology. Mazda also likes to go its own way with its styling. So much car design right now is incredibly fussy, with angles and detailing all over the place. Styling is subjective, of course, but the Mazda 3's simple, smooth surfaces make for a refreshing change from the car design norm. So although it's a rival for the likes of the Volkswagen Golf, Ford Focus, Audi A3 and Peugeot 308, it really doesn't look like any of those cars. Honestly, go and have a look for yourself. You'll find them all for sale on motorpoint.co.uk. Inside, things are just as eccentric. In a good way, think Stephen Fry. And it feels very sporty. You've got this cocooned-in feeling with the dashboard and the wide central armrest here. It also feels almost like the premium brands in terms of build quality. And while most rivals are moving increasingly towards large touchscreens and moving more and more controls such as the aircon or stereo buttons solely onto touchscreens, Mazda has taken a different approach. The 9-inch infotainment screen is controlled by a combination of shortcut buttons and by this rotary controller, which is a little bit like BMW's iDrive system. We think it works very well indeed, and while it might take a while to get used to where everything is, once you do, it's very, very easy to adjust everything on the car's systems without taking your attention away from the road. Try doing that in a Volkswagen Golf or Peugeot 308. There's plenty of equipment offered as standard too, including built-in sat-nav, Bluetooth connectivity, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Even on basic SEL cars, you get air conditioning, parking sensors and adaptive cruise control, while the mid-spec SEL Luxe model, like this car, adds goodies such as dual-zone climate control, keyless entry and heated seats. The highest spec models, the Sport Luxe and the GT Sport, add even more luxury kit, including leather seats and a heated steering wheel. While the front seat occupants may be happy with their lot, if you're taller than 5'4.5" me, in the back you'll be struggling for legroom and headroom. And in any event, even if you're not taller than 5'4.5", you will find that this sloping roofline does make it a little dark in here. And when you want to get out, it's quite a small opening, which can make it quite awkward to get in and out for some people. And if you want to put a car seat in and out, well, that's going to be even more challenging. That swoopy, sporty shape that makes the back seats dark also brings an issue when it comes to boot space. At 358 litres, it's simply smaller than the boots you'll find in its major rivals such as the Ford Focus or Volkswagen Golf. This high load lip is a bit of a pain too. It makes loading bulky items in and out a little bit tricky. So the cramped seats, not so brilliant boot space and this load lip, don't think it's where Mazda really put the effort into in this car, is it? So maybe it's going to be a really good drive. Bingo! This is where Mazda has put all its efforts. When you first sit in the car, you get the impression and the feeling that it's all about the driver and their experience. And when out on the road, that feeling is confirmed. The suspension is firm, sure, but this means that body roll is well controlled and the Mazda 3 steers really precisely, giving you real sports car vibes from behind the wheel. A Ford Focus or a Seat Leon ultimately feel more agile, but the Mazda runs them pretty close. The 6-speed manual gearbox really is excellent though. The gear change is slick and smooth. You will love it if you enjoy changing gear yourself. If you don't, you can get an auto, but honestly, you'll be missing out. Given the impressive gear shift and the clever tech behind the Skyactiv X engine, it's a shame that it doesn't sound more exciting and that it feels a little breathless despite its 186 horsepower. That's the penalty you pay for not having a turbo. It's not a poor enough performance for us to call it bad, but this engine doesn't impress in the way that the 1.5 litre Golf TSI E's power plant does. That said, the Mazda's initial response to the throttle is a bit sharper and more crisp. And it's impressively economical as well. Official figures say 54 miles per gallon, but in the real world, you'll still get high 40s. So, were Mazda's designers and engineers right to create such a quirky vehicle? Well, if you want a smart-looking, well-built family hatchback, but you don't really like your family that much, okay, correction, if you don't need to use the back seats that often and the boot that often, then it could well fit the bill. It's one of the best cars in its class to drive, and it's fitted with an especially impressive manual gearbox, and it's also pretty economical too. But if you want to check out some of its alternatives, head to the Motorpoint YouTube channel, where you'll find reviews of the Seat Leon, Ford Focus and Volkswagen Golf. Like and subscribe and click the bell icon so that you catch all of our latest videos.